Good evening, family. Ken Mills here with World Views. Tonight we have a very special episode. Tonight's episode is the pursuit of happiness. Now tonight what we'll delve into some of my personal life. I have a very special guest here that will talk about our business partnership and also our life partnership as well. Now, everybody talks about how marriage can change a man or marriage can change a woman. I don't even understand what they're saying because guess what? When two people join together that are equally yoked, something blessed and beautiful happens. We're going to show you tonight what that is. So you guys, stay tuned. We're going to go to a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to have our very illustrious guest. You're now here with World Views with Ken Mills on Boss Up Houston Network.
Wanna be a boss? You're watching Boss Up Houston Network. It's Boss Up Houston, where we look up, stay up, and boss up.
And we're back. Welcome back, family. Now, this beautiful young lady to my left, this lady is a food connoisseur. She's a burgeoning entrepreneur, and she's also happens to be my wife. LACRETIA Mills, how are you today?
I'm good. Great. How are you?
All right. Well, welcome. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Now, if I understand correctly, you co-CEO of World of Comedy 5 Entertainment.
That is correct. I am the co-CEO of, what is it?
World of Comedy 5
World of Comedy
Entertainment.
5 Entertainment. I knew that, y'all. Trust me, I knew that.
So, I'm going to cut the bull. This is my silent partner, right? So, basically, what happens on a day-to-day basis, whatever you see here on camera, and also different events that are outside, she gives me the final confirmation. And that entails like, or yes, sir. So kind of go into that selection process that you have.
Well, it's just basically a lot of it is just instinct, knowing what your audience, well, first knowing you, and then also knowing your audience. And being that I am also a part of your audience, I know what I think we would like to see and what we would like to be a part of. So that's definitely along the lines of what that process looks like. And sometimes you can definitely be off the mark and and you need some reeling back in. And I think that that's just a good thing, you know, that you don't just have a yes man. Right. You have someone that's going to be honest, someone that will give you accurate feedback. So that's definitely part of the process.
And can you tell the people of one of the instances where you had to do that reel back?
Oh, that's every single time.
Just mention one.
No, I mean, but honestly, it's every single time. You know, you have these amazing, grand ideas. Honestly, you do. But sometimes, you know, even if it's time constraint, if it's budget, if it's just the smallest of things that I may see that you don't see. Mm-hmm. You know, about making it happen, about getting it done, and just being that second pair of eyes or that fourth pair of eyes, you know, helps a lot. But on every single event, y'all, I have to come on back, bring it back in. But that's every time though. But I I don't take it as a burden. You know, I take it as being a supportive partner, a supportive spouse, a fan, you know, all of those things.
We definitely appreciate you in all of those capacities. So I'd like to pivot here, come back to your humble beginnings. Where did you come from? How did you get to this point that you are now?
So I am a native Houstonian, born and raised in South Park, dead end, Texas. And but I think that even though I'm a native Houstonian, my roots are from Louisiana. Both of my parents, mom and dad, are from Louisiana. My mom is from Plaisance, Louisiana. My father is from Mossville, Louisiana. So I say that because to me, my upbringing was totally different than my friends growing up in South Park on MLK. My upbringing was very different because my parents had a more of a rural life most of their life, you know, so they raised us on, you know, those morals of family, treating your neighbor as you would treat yourself, raised us on, you know, we're family, we stick together, you know, that sort of thing. We had Sunday dinner every Sunday, even though my mom cooked every day except for Saturday and Sunday. We would still have Sunday dinner around our table. My dad and my mom would go out and get food and bring it home, and so we would sit down, we would talk about the week, laugh, joke, you know, just that thing. And that's where I started, South Park. A lot of people don't believe that, but it is true. My parents still live there to this day, 50 plus years. One of the first black families to move into South Park. A lot of people may not know, before it was Martin Luther King, it was, I believe, South Park Drive, and before that it was Old Chocolate Bayou, and my parents lived there when it was Old Chocolate Bayou. So that's been 50 plus years ago, and that's where it all started. That's me right there.
Now y'all see why I chose, right? I got me one of them South Side girls. I'm Fifth Ward, you know. Back then, you know, they didn't let the North Side go on the South Side, so we bridging the gap here.
Really?
So I want to talk about the cooking.
Okay.
I want to talk about the cooking because you mentioned the dinners.
Okay.
Now, give us a little bit of insight about the cooking.
So cooking is definitely in my blood, in my veins. It's just ingrained in who I am, starting from my grandmother, grandfather, my mom, her 13 siblings. It was 14 of them. Every single one of them could cook. My family owned a cafe in Opelousas, Louisiana, called the Baptiste Cafe. My aunt, Rose Chenier, she was the cook and sole proprietor of the kitchen at Blues Cafe for years upon years before she branched out on her own, and she was known as the chicken lady in the oil mill on Planter Street every Friday. I mean, my brother can cook, my cousins can cook, my sister, she can throw down a little bit.
Okay.
So it's just in us, like all of us, it's just in us. I can't explain it other than, you know, every holiday we made coleslaw from scratch. Like, and people are like, I hate coleslaw. I can't. I literally sat next to my aunt, chopped cabbage, raisins, apple. That's how we make it. I don't know how y'all do, but you know, raisins, apples, a little mayo, a little sugar, you know, a little salt, a little pepper, putting all that in there, and it was just a family affair. You know, while we're doing that, I have another aunt making cakes from scratch. I learned how to make cakes from scratch. My favorite meal is kush kush. That's cornbread and milk. Learn how to make cornbread on the stove from my grandmother. I mean, it's just in me, you know. And I'll cook up some stuff for us.
That's right.
Just about every day, and sometimes he's like, this is too much. This is over the top. But, you know, I also believe in using what you have. It doesn't have to be anything grand or anything costly. You just use what you have to make the best meal, and as long as it's cooked with love and with intent, and of course with flavor and seasoning, I think it is most definitely enjoyable.
Okay. So, given the fact that you grew up in the South, and you grew up with rural values. It seems as though you had aspirations to move outside of the city and see what the world had to offer.
Yes.
So could you tell us a little bit of your exploits?
Okay, so just to bring it back to the beginning of that, like you said, growing up in the South, and my escape it wasn't necessarily being outdoors or being outside, and my cousins and my sister will definitely get on me for that, but I read books all day, every day. I was reading books, and that opened my mind to what the world was like and what the world had to offer. In addition to that, when I realized that my family was more than just who I saw here in Houston or who I interacted with in Louisiana, I had cousins in California, I had cousins in Georgia, I had family in Chicago and in New York. And I had a cousin when I first met her as a young kid, and one of my elder cousins was like, "Oh, this is Camille. She's your cousin as well." Shouts out to Breeze. She's from New York or New Jersey. And I was like, what? Being a kid from the South, and your mind is just this big for the most part. And I was just like, so there are black people everywhere. We're everywhere. And I think I was probably about 6 or 7 years old when that came about. And just expanding up on that. So I started traveling as soon as I graduated high school. And I traveled alone. Even though I had friends, I didn't want to wait on anybody to get their money together. I didn't want to wait on someone to say when we got to our destination, I don't want to do this or I don't want to do that. That was definitely out of the question. So the very first place I traveled alone was to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Got my hotel, got my flight, and my mom was like, "I can't believe you are doing this. You're going by yourself." And I was like, "Yep, doing it." And I did it. And from there, the passion to travel and to move, just be outside of Texas, was just explosive to me. So, spent some time in New York, spent some time in Atlanta, Georgia. Although they were brief, both of those places definitely impacted me. And even to this day, and you know this, that I am always trying to get you to look at opportunities outside of Houston, outside of Texas. I think that we can always move back if that is, in the cards for us. But I think that, moving somewhere else and experiencing a different way of living, a different lifestyle, whatever that may look like, I think that would be great for us. But I'm not saying or complaining about the life that we have here now. It is good. It's better than good. So I'm not complaining about that. But just that experience, I think that's what I'm referring to.
But see, you try to make them happy, then they come back with something else. Like, hey, let's do this here, let's do that. Aren't you not grateful? Aren't you not grateful? You got the best of everything. Look like she didn't miss no meal. Like she didn't even miss a sale at Dillard's, did she? Amen. But so I want to dig into your entrepreneurship because, as you stated before, you are co-CEO at World of Five.
World of Comedy 5.
That's right, World of Comedy 5. Now, what other ventures do you have?
So, in addition to being co-CEO with you, I have my own catering business. It is a Creole Girls Kitchen where I specialize in Creole Cajun cuisine that is not only good to the soul, but it is good to the appetite. In addition to that, I am owner and operator of Camilla & Co., which is an online boutique that offers country chic apparel and home goods. So, like, things to get you ready for the rodeo, to get you ready for, maybe chicken run or something like that. That apparel is there, or I have that business. But in addition to that, I am a process engineer in my day-to-day life. I am a process engineer for a Fortune 5 financial institution. So.
Okay. Well, you go, girl.
But I owe that to you. I do owe that to you. I remember when you and I first got together, and I was working here locally in Houston. I remember you telling me you can do XYZ. You need to do this, you need to do that. And, you basically put me on game with a lot of things. And so I'm definitely appreciative to you for that. I know that I would not have, although I've been driven on my own, you put a spark or another drive in me to, go beyond the norm or what I was used to. Because my background was definitely not in finance.
Okay. Now, I appreciate you even saying that, because when we come back from the quick commercial break, we're going to dig in a little bit more. We also have a bit of our story that we would like to share with you. You're now here with World Views with Ken Mills on Boss Up Houston Network.
Wow, that's real.
We break the silence.
Gun violence. Trauma feels so lonely.
We break barriers.
I opened that door to drinking after almost 20 years.
We break it down.
It hit me how fragile parenting is.
You're really a great father.
And we're always ready for a breakthrough.
I feel like there was a lot of anger.
I needed to be bigger.
New episodes and so many new conversations.
Red Table Talk.
Premieres September 28th
on Facebook Watch.
Oh, beautiful, far spacious skies, far amber waves of grain, far purple mountain majesties. But now wait a minute, I'm talking about America, sweet America. God done shed his grace on thee. He crowned our good. Yes, he did. Heavy brotherhood from sea to shining sea. I wish I had somebody to help me sing this. America, I love you, America. You see, my God, he done shed his face on thee. Oh, Lord, I thank you, Lord.
Welcome back. So when we last chatted here, we were talking about your beginnings in entrepreneurship and also your humble beginnings in life. So we'll go ahead and move it a quick bit forward. So after you returned back to Houston from Atlanta, can you recall meeting someone very special?
So I recall. So we went to the same high school. I graduated 4 years after he did, and our classes were extremely small. So we were trying to do those joint class reunions. I know that I was the representative for my class, and you were the representative for yours. And it seemed like every time I would say something or reply, and this is via Facebook, y'all, you would not speak to the group. You wouldn't reply to the group. You would reply directly to me. And in my head, I was like, why is he responding directly to me? Respond to the group. So then one day, I guess you had your Cheerios that day. You came into my inbox and you were like, hey, I think you're pretty. I'd like to take you out. And I was like, sure, let's do it. And we had our first date.
All right. Don't let us skim past this now. I'm going to tell you the truth. Now, every time, I say something funny in the chat, she'll like it. She put love marks on it.
It was funny.
And, I was like, well, hey, I'm going to shoot my shot. I'm gonna come on with it. She looked good, you know. So even at that time, you know, I shot my shot. She was receptive to the date. But tell them about what happened on that date.
Oh, goodness. So this is where our stories or our recollection of what happened may be different. Mm-hmm. So we went to BJ's in Pearland. And this was like the weekend it had just opened, right? Mm-hmm. So they were busy. They were packed. We stood out there. We were waiting. Ken came in his best vest. He had his Gucci print leather jacket on. He had his gator shoes on. He had rings on every finger. And he had his big medallion chain on. And he had a summer Kango hat, but it was the winter time. And I was just like, all right, we could do this. We could do this. We get to the table. We're seated. And our waitress was exceptional. He didn't think so. Our food was delayed, and he thought it was because the waiter did not provide good service. But in my mind, I'm thinking the waiter's providing great service. This is their opening weekend. They're super packed, so the kitchen's busy. She kept our drinks full. She kept, coming to the table to check on us. But Mr. didn't like that.
No, I didn't. I said whenever I spend my money, I expect world-class service. But, I mean, it started for me. I was a little bit irritated in the beginning, See, people start judging the book by the cover, I see where I grew up at. You had to come out fly, I had on a summer hat because, in Houston, the weather changed in 2 hours. So I was ready for everything. I didn't know if she wanted me to take her to a waterfall or Palace Inn, anywhere. So I was ready for whatever.
Oh, we... Really? Okay. So, anywho, so we had a differencing of opinion when the check came about, the tip. And I told him, nah, I'll go ahead and pay the tip because my father always told us that you tip correctly, and he was not having that. And so after the date, I was going to to Silver Eagle to meet my brother and my sister. Hey, y'all. And he wanted to come, and I was like, nah, that's not your speed. But, that was the first date, and we didn't talk for like, what, maybe
a year.
A year or so?
A year. And I had a word for her. My brother, who is not deceased, Mo, I hit him up right after I left that date. And I said, this got to be the most bougiest woman in this world. Because I paid the tip. I went on paid the tip because, I felt like, she came out with me, so I had to take care of it. But it was one thing that happened during the dinner that really kind of got me upset. See, I wear my heart on my sleeve sometime. Anybody that know me know I'm a good person. Yeah. So she was telling me her life aspirations. And I say, you could have the world if you want it. I'll give it to you. And she didn't believe me. She thought I was trying to put some player lines on her.
It's not that I didn't believe you. You were trying to put some player lines on me. That's what it was. And I was just like, you know what? I'm not for this. I'm not for the lines. I'm not for the games. I'm not for that. And, hindsight is 20/20, of course. You have absolutely, lived up to all of that and fulfilled all of that. But on the first date, you laid it on kind of thick. And I was just kind of like, I don't know.
YOLO, you only got one life to live. If I'm going to shoot my shot, I better shoot it with an AK-47. I was trying to get somewhere, And, I kind of was dismayed by that. I went back to the Midnight Women and, I got tired of the Midnight Women because, they always want to stay at my house. I got tired of that. So I called up again. And I took out to a movie the next time. Mm-hmm. When I took her to the movie, I worked so hard. See, back in the day, I was working 8-hour shifts. I'd be in them streets. I thought I was Nino Brown. We got in that movie. What happened, baby?
Snores. This man was knocked out sleep. So I couldn't enjoy Django because of the loud snores. And I understood that you worked and that you worked hard and that you worked these long, odd hours, why would you bring me here? Like, that's the place, that's the perfect setting to go to sleep.
Because I thought, with her being bougie, I wanted to wow her, and I wanted to take it slow too. So a movie, a movie would have been the nice take on it.
Right.
And that didn't work either.
It did not. But even still, even after he fell asleep on me in the movies, I think we may have, we still talked. It didn't necessarily go anywhere.
No.
We still talked. I may have cooked him lunch a few times, brought him lunch and things like that. And the crazy thing is that I think we would Skype.
Mm-hmm.
We would Skype all the time. Mind you, we're in the same city, y'all. We would Skype just to see what was going on because his work hours were so weird. But yeah, I think that was even worse than the first date.
Then after that, we went on a hiatus. I'm going to keep going.
Yes.
So
6 years.
So then, it was a game. It was a Dallas Cowboys and Houston Texans game. I hadn't shared this with y'all, but I'm a avid Cowboys fan. I hate what they're going through right now. And I went up to the Cowboys Stadium. So I'm sitting in Denny's. I'm eating my little Grand Slam. I'm recovering from the night before. And I see her on Facebook tag in the same Denny's I'm in. Tell them what happened next.
So he sends me a message and he's like, I'm in the same Denny's. Where are you at? And I was like, I'm on this side. And so he came over and he was like, hey, how you doing? I'm staying over here. And it was my cousin and I. And, of all the places and all the people that I would run into you. So I thought that was kind of a sign, kind of, sort of. But then also, and I don't know if I shared this with you, I had went to D.C. to see my sister, Delana. And mind y'all, I had not talked to Ken in like years. And she was just out the blue, how is Mr. Ken Mills? And I was like, child, I don't know. I haven't talked to him. And she's like, well, that's going to be my brother-in-law. And I was like, well, you know something I don't, because I haven't talked to him in forever.
That ain't it. So even after that, it was a long time till I saw her again, right?
Yeah.
But then, when I saw her again, what did you see when you saw me?
You came by my apartment, and when I came down the stairs, you love this part.
Oh, yes.
I came down the stairs, and even though Ken absolutely looked the same, his countenance, his everything about him, like whatever was exuding out of him, was just so different. And there was like this aura around him. And walking down the stairs, I knew that you were going to be my husband in that very moment. He likes that part, y'all.
So brothers, don't lose hope, because if you keep trying, you're going to get in there. I promise you. So I'll give a little bit of context to that, because around that time, you go through life, you mature. I shed some of the jewelry that I was wearing. I was a little bit more focused. Matter of fact, I wasn't even wearing jewelry at that point.
No, you weren't.
And I was just focused on bettering myself, and she saw that. But right after that, we went on a date. I took her to my old stomping grounds, and she accepted it. Matter of fact, it was one night at Dorothy's.
Right, I remember. That's when we became official. That we would pursue a relationship, and the rest is history, because you and I have not been, I guess, apart since that day. We've been together ever since. But just to go back to that, even like I said, the day he came to my apartment and I walked down the stairs, I didn't know that he was making this change within himself. But just like he was making changes within himself, I was making changes within myself as well. I was trying to better myself, whatever that meant to me at the time, just to be a better person, an all-around better woman, better, maybe sister, daughter, whatever it was. I was just trying to be the best person, and not for you or for anybody else, but the best person for myself. And I think because we were both in those places, that the veil was lifted from our eyes, and we were able to see the true heart of each other at that point, you know. And I think that's when, I think right before that, I had just, you know, accepted my call to ministry and all of that. And so I think because we were both in those transformative spaces, that we were able to definitely, you know, see the true heart of one another. And I think that was a really, you know, special moment for me, honestly, because I've never experienced anything else like that.
Right, because when she spoke about the call to ministry, see, I was a deacon on the deacon board at the same time. And where she stayed, I could walk to my church. Yeah. So the Lord blessed me. I was singing every Sunday in the choir, praying for a woman. And there she was.
Yes.
I was like, amen.
And a woman.
That's right, amen, and a woman. Now look here, guys, we'll go to a quick commercial break, but when we return, I mean, we have even more stories. We're going to talk about marriage. So stay tuned. You're here with Worldviews with Ken Mills and LACRETIA Mills on Boss Up Houston Network.
Breakfast at Auntie D's, take one. That's all it's gonna take.
Rick and Daddy's on the beat.
Wine, dime, killing time, heard it through the grapevine. The type of you that like to get dime anytime. Wine, dime, killing time, heard it through the grapevine. You the type of you that like to get dime anytime. Wine, dime, killing time, heard it through the grapevine. You the type of you that like to get dime anytime. John, please sipper, Moet, Patron flipper. Do you the type of girl that like to pull down the zipper?
I like that shoe.
Hit to fake appetizer. After this, I'm digging your thighs. Real debonair's eye. Looking your eyes. Got a smirk upon your
Go sit down, baby. Go sit down.
And I'm impressed with your waist, petite shape in your thigh. Compliment you on your booty and your hair and your booty. Hey.
Here you go, baby.
Wine, dine, killing time. Heard it through the grapevine. You the type of you that like to get dine anytime. Comfort zone with me.
Cut.
All right, welcome back here. So what we last discussed, we were talking about how we became closer. Now, one tidbit that you guys don't know about, when she came to my house the first time, she never left.
You like to tell that.
Yes, I do. Because I think a lot of men don't understand that you have to have the kingdom first. Once you have the kingdom, you could bring in the queen will never leave. You can't split the bill to be a roommate. So around that time, you still had that same apartment too, right?
Right, because I had just renewed my lease.
Okay.
So I still have my own place. But he is right. Most days I would go to work and just, work was near you actually. It was closer to you than it was to me. I would just go to his house and maybe go home on the weekend, get some more stuff, and was back at his house. But it kind of worked out because that's when my sister and the kids came and, you know, they had their own place. And it worked out. It worked out.
Oh, yeah, it worked out. And then what also helped me, my lovely mother, Betty Mills, we're going to shout you out.
She's the best. Y'all, hold on. I'm sorry. But to these mother-in-laws, I'm just going to speak to y'all. Stop being overbearing. Stop getting in your children's business. And stop trying to run their marriage. Like, can y'all stop that, please? But not to say that's what my mother-in-law does, because, no. My mother-in-law is the best of the best. Like, I can't find a word to say how much I love my mother-in-law. Most people, when they first met me, thought that I was actually her daughter. And I tell Ken this all the time. I think I love him more because of his mom. So, you know, I love my mother-in-law. Thank you for all of your support and, you know, all of the love and care that you've given to me as his wife and as your daughter. you know, throughout these 5 years that Ken and I have been together.
That's right. So my mom met her, and the first thing my mother told me, don't be no damn fool. Excuse my French, but I'm gonna be real with you. She said, don't be no damn fool. Now, I was foolish a lot of my life, but I listened to my mama that one time. And we had a different type of engagement proposal, didn't we?
Right. So, I mean, it wasn't one of those. Honestly, I've never been a girl, truly, to ever think of, you know, some guy getting on one knee and all that. To me, honestly, and this is just me, not knocking anybody else who's done this or who will do this or, you know, anything like that. To me, that's not practical for who I am. That wasn't who I was, because for one, I already knew what type of wedding I wanted. I knew who was going to be in my wedding. I just need you to say, would you like to get married? And that's what we did. You and I had an adult conversation. We were in this thing for 2 years already, and it was kind of like, so what are we doing? And you were just like, so we going to get married, or what we doing? Yes, let's go talk to my mom and dad. Let's go talk to your mother. Let's get their blessings. And then from there, I think we were married in like 7 months after that, yeah.
That's right. Now, the lead up to the marriage, and one thing I will tell you for anybody that's looking to get married, don't do a big wedding. We spent over $40,000 on the wedding. We didn't even get a chance to enjoy it. Matter of fact, we didn't even eat none of the food at all. None.
Well, I'll say this. Mm-hmm. If that's what you want, do that. I think we did it simply because for our parents, you know. Not saying that that's the only reason we did it was for our parents, but one of the major things was that my mom and my mother and father are a lot older, and you are your mother's only child. And with my father-in-law being deceased, I felt, and I think you felt that way as well, that this would be a moment that, you know, would definitely make them proud, definitely, you know, also honor them, you know, and just, you know, do it for them, like, and for our families. However, I will say that $40,000 is a lot of money that we could have used on something totally different. You know, if you have it, do it. You know, if you don't stress over it. Don't, you know, go into debt doing it. Just, you know, I think if we would do it all over again, we would probably go somewhere, because I think our plan was to go to to Puerto Rico and get married, have a small ceremony with our parents, closest family there. And I think it was only going to be about maybe $4,000, and that was with like 50 people, which was not bad to go to Puerto Rico to have a wedding ceremony. But yeah, I'll say, you know, and for all that money we spent, if we're not looking at pictures or videos, I honestly don't remember any of it. You know, the day went by so fast. And I think by the time, you know, after the reception and by the time we got back to our hotel downtown, we were knocked out. Like, we slept so hard, you know, slept like extremely hard. And, you know, not saying that I would change anything, you know, because everything was extremely nice. But I just think that we would have went another route.
Right. But one of the most major, I say, memories that took place there, my best man, Mo Ashell, that was one of the last moments I had with him. Because shortly thereafter we got married, he passed on. Then I was with my brothers. I was with Vern Falk, Kenneth Woods, Dame Diary, and Eric Jones, Big Bro. And we had a marvelous time. I mean, it was just marvelous. It was something to remember. But when you think about the monetary piece,
right,
we could have done a lot more with it. Because I think right now we finally, not that we went heavy debt behind it, but we finally at a point where we see a little bit of air. So I want to pivot to the marriage, right? So I heard a live that she does lives all the time, and she talk to people and she say, marriage is hard. So how is it hard with me? I'm the good guy. I'm the good guy.
So, you know, my dad says in marriage, 1 + 1 = 1. It does not equal 2.
Right.
Because when we are married, we become one. And I'm not saying that marriage with you is hard, but marriage is hard work, because I am essentially merging with someone else. You and I are becoming flesh flesh of my flesh, bone of my bone. That we're becoming one. And so being able to say, because I am a very strong-willed woman, very strong-willed individual. I have my own thoughts, my own ways of doing things. The major thing in marriage or any relationship is most certainly compromise. I know, and I'm going to be honest, the first 2 years of our marriage, and we've only been married 3, so maybe the first year and a half, I wouldn't let up for nothing. I was on him like, right on, no, you have to do X, Y, Z. And I was just like, why are you like this? Why are you doing this? Like, I'm making my life a living hell doing this, honestly. But when I sat and thought about, being married and what that truly means is compromising, like I said, communication, and not just listening or not just listening to respond, but comprehending and understanding. When you say I need this, what does that truly mean? Understanding that you are not a mind reader and I'm not a mind reader. Having adult conversations, just talking. And a lot of times that's the sole issue and the sole concern when it comes to relationships and marriages breaking up, is that people don't listen to each other and people are not willing to compromise, thinking that is my way or the highway, and that is not the case. So when I say that marriage is hard or that it's hard work, not saying that you're a bad guy or anything like that. It's just saying that when we're merging, becoming one, that I have to take off a lot of self, and you have to take off a lot of self, and we have to say, you know what, I love this person enough to understand that it's not my way. I love this person enough to say, I'm start crying. I'm trying not to start crying. I love this person enough to say that I will put him or her before myself. And that has definitely been, it's been rewarding, because like I said, initially I wouldn't let up. I was like, no, it's my way or it's no other way. But our life has been more enjoyable, I think. Our friendship has definitely grown. Our friendship has, just been rooted a little bit deeper because we have, decided to truly, take away that selfishness, that selfish part of us that we don't want to necessarily, shed. So, that's what I mean by that. Not that you are a bad guy, because you are a great guy. You are an amazing husband. And I big you up all the time to everybody. My husband is this, my husband is that. He is, he's the best.
So did comedy put any strain on the marriage?
Oh, Lord have mercy. Jesus, did it? It did. It did. But again, I had to shift my focus. Because I looked at it as you were spending too much time outside of the house. You were spending too much time doing what you wanted to do. And even though I recognized and I saw that it was making you happier, you weren't just being a homebody like you typically were, I felt like I was missing out. I felt like you were putting comedy before me. I felt like you were putting comedy before our marriage, and that, that's just what it was. But like I said, when I shifted my focus to say, this man is truly happy doing comedy. Like, he comes alive. Anybody who knows Ken knows that for the most part, he's very quiet. He's very observant. He'll watch, that he's not necessarily a people person. I will say that. You're not necessarily a people person. But he'll watch and he'll observe. But with him, jumping into comedy and on that scene, you have definitely blossomed into this person who is not afraid to spark up conversations, who's not afraid to go into different arenas. Now, I will say that when it comes to, business and stuff like that, that's not a problem. But, being more social, being more open to, different sceneries and different groups of people, I had to stop being selfish and had to say that, because I wouldn't go anywhere at first. I didn't want any parts of it. But like I said, when I changed my perception and my perspective on, what this did for you and what it's doing for you, then I definitely looked at it differently.
Now what we're going to do, we're going to take a brief break, but when we come back, I want to talk a little bit more. And it's some special surprises that we want to let out as well. You're now here with Worldviews with Ken Mills and LACRETIA Mills on Boss Up Houston Network.
Devin, did you know Geico is now offering an extra 15% credit on car and motorcycle policies?
Okay.
That's 15% on top of what Geico could already save you. So what are you waiting for? DJ Khaled to be your motivational coach?
Yo, Devin, remember to brush in a circle motion. Thank you, DJ Khaled. Tiny circles, Devin. Do another one. Another one. Is this good? Put in that work, Devin. Don't give up.
Geico. Save an extra 15% when you switch by October 7th.
Don't play yourself.
All right, and we're back. So we spoke a little bit about, I guess, you understanding me wanting to do comedy. But it got to a certain point where I was doing this at a more consistent basis. And you brought a proposition to me. You said, why don't you create your own?
Yes.
So kind of go over the process of how that became.
So I am all about having your own. Whatever that looks like, about having your own. I felt that even though your time in comedy was brief, you have a amazing business sense. You have an amazing comedic talent. And so why not merge those two things, where you host your own comedy shows, where you host your own room, where you even possibly get on the stage as well. I felt like in addition to, showing the world, your talent, you could also make a little money. And so that was my mind frame behind that. And I don't think anything's wrong with making money, not at all. But I felt like in addition to that, having your own elevates you, elevates your name, elevates your brand. And you're doing great. You're doing great.
Thank you. Thank you. Because I know a lot of times in the beginning you used to cringe at my material.
I still do. I still do, but it's more internal as opposed to external. You won't see it on my face. But I realize that, again, you have your own audience. Although I'm a part of that audience, you have an audience that just gravitates to you. You have an audience who loves and likes the realness of what you say. I'm very reserved, and even doing this is definitely out of my character. But so when you're on stage and you say those things, I'm kind of like, oh my God. But people like that. people like the honesty. They like the realness. They like that raw truth. And, you know, you tell it in a way that greats have told it, you know. And I think that, you know, the sky's the limit for you. You know what I think. I've already told you what I think. And, you know, I just think with time and with, you know, applying more pressure in these streets.
Amen.
You'll be there. You're already, as our boy says, I'm already a legend. You know, you think I'll be a legend, but I'm already a legend. I'm a legend now. You know what I'm saying? And so that's the mentality that we're taking. And when I say we, I mean World of Comedy 5. Is that people think that I'll be a legend or that we'll be a legend, but we're legends now. And so that's where we are.
So we went through this entire story, but we failed to tell y'all one thing. When we met, we were over 300 pounds.
Yes.
So now I'm 215.
I'm 160 something.
And we did most of this together.
Yeah.
And I think if I pivot back to our earlier discussion where it was a little bit of strife in the marriage, most of it was behind health. Most of it was my unwillingness to change because I had a mentality of this is the way I grew up. This is what I like to eat. This is what I like to partake of. So as I started to think about what our relationship was, and if the fact that I wasn't here, what the outcome would be, meaning a young man to spend all my money and take my woman to Puerto Rico, no sir. I went on and I got that surge and I got on that treadmill and that bike and I keep eating Bex Prime because Bex Prime got the best organic meals out there.
They are.
Yeah,
but that's not true. Nobody's gonna. Okay, you were funny. You're funny. But yes, that was a lot of the strife that we had in the relationship was because of your health conditions and the fact that a lot of them are reversible and were reversible with, you know, eating healthier, with exercise, with changing your diet, and not just those physical things, but also changing your mind around your relationship with food. And honestly, before you had the surgery, even though you were still, you know, had those particular ailments and you were still on that medication, because we changed the way we ate, you lost a lot of weight. You had lost about almost 50 to 70, I would say 60 to 70 pounds just within that time from just changing the way you ate. And, you know, you would work out with me sometimes. You wouldn't work out with me all the time. But he would work out with me sometimes. We would go to Memorial Park and I might jog and he might be out there walking. But I think the fact that, you know, we did that together made a difference as well. And the fact that, you know, you wanted to be here. Like you say, even though you joke, you know, I wouldn't want a younger man to take my wife and take my money. You wanted to be here for me, you know, and for our family and for yourself, you know. So you took the measures and did what had to be done for you, and look at you now, boy. You was fine then, but you something else, right? That's all me right there, y'all. All right.
Hold your horses now. Now, family, this has been a marvelous episode. We got a chance here to speak with the First Lady of World of Comedy 5 Entertainment. And also now you get a viewpoint into who we are. You know how to find her on social media. You also know how to find me. But I want to leave you all with one point. The reason why we named this The Pursuit of Happiness is because that's exactly what it is, a pursuit. Most people, they feel like they have to find happiness in someone else. Not necessarily in this case. We found happiness within ourselves. Once you find happiness within yourself and you want to be better, guess what's going to happen? People will see how you love yourself. It'll be an aura around you, and that'll automatically draw them in and make life a heck of a lot easier. One thing that I will want to tell my wife, my business partner, my life partner, and my fitness coach, that I love her immensely. Anniversary was yesterday. We made 3 years. Hopefully we'll make 30, 50, however long Lord let us live. I definitely appreciate you. That's why you're one of our illustrious guests here. You're illustrious already, but we just had to show the world who you are.
Okay.
All right. Did you have anything you want to say?
No, I just thank you for the opportunity to share our story. I know a lot of people, look at us and they're like, oh my God, y'all are just the best couple. Y'all are this and y'all are that. That's social media, y'all. Not saying that we are not, who we look like on Facebook or on Instagram. That is definitely who we are. We love each other every day. We laugh together. I'll cry on his shoulders. He's not going to cry too much, but I'll cry on your shoulders, and you are an amazing encourager. Even though sometimes I think, he's a little stern, but I think that's his job as my husband, is to be my, priest, protector, provider. He leads. And the fact that I allow him, let me not say allow him, I step back and he is in that role, it gives me, less anxiety. I say that simply because this is work, It's not just pictures. It's not just a post on Facebook. This is legit work. And the fact that we make this commitment every single day that we wake up to say, I do, every day matters, and it makes a difference. And so, we don't want to definitely, portray our marriage, our friendship, our relationship as just this bell of golden sunshine and sparkly rain, Sometimes I don't want to look at him. And sometimes he doesn't want to look at me. Sometimes just to hear him, I wish, don't breathe today. That sort of thing. We have those days, but again, it's all about being committed to one another, being committed to ourselves, honoring our vows for better or worse, through sickness and health, till death do us part. Whether that's willingly or, however that looks, just being able to work on ourselves and work on each other has been a tremendous blessing. I say all the time, and I said this at my bridal shower, that, he's made me a better woman. He's made me a better person, and, he's made me look at life and look at love in ways that I never thought that I would have, And even though people look at Ken, now he smiles. Now he's just cheeky. He's ear to ear. But before, he would not, not saying that he wouldn't smile, but he was just an observer. And, people are like, how? He never smiles. I'm like, he smiles. He's funny. He's charming. He has this way about him that can definitely draw you in. And that's what he did. 5 years ago, he drew me in. And I'm here to stay.
All right. Like I said before, it's been a wonderful experience. Thank you for being here. Next week, we're going to have a brand new, fresh episode for you. But until then, stay tuned to Boss Up Houston Network. We would like for you to open your minds, open your hearts, and stay safe out there. You now have World Views here with Ken Mills on Boss Up Houston Network.